Hi everyone, this is Chou Allegra with Grace and Hope Consulting, and today I'm wearing my clinical professional, trauma professional hat today, and for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I've been interviewing women who overcame and are overcoming, and the reason why I'm doing this to share, not just to bring awareness, but to also give hope, to show others that there is a better life at the end of the tunnel, and their help is available, and that things can really turn around. With the right support. So tonight I have actually today I have Felicia with me, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi guys, my name is Felicia Carter. I'm a a wife and a mom of two children. I have got three, five altogether with my husband. So not too much going on right now, but
Well, you're a busy mom. That's a lot. As a mom, I can totally respect that. It takes a lot of time just to be a mom and a lot of energy and effort and definitely sleepless night as well. So I totally value that. So you are here doing this interview with me because of your story. And I like, just giving people some highlights. You don't have to go into, all the details, because I know those stories that we're sharing are painful experiences, and sometimes as we start digging into them, kind of talking about it actually digs some deeper wounds. So I want you to just share what you're comfortable with, just to give people a little idea of where you were, so that when we start talking about what helped you and how you overcame, they kind of get a sense of how things were then and how they are now.
okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so I don't know why I'm so nervous, but
It's okay. Just take your time.
I was what 17 years old. I had met my son's father when I was 16, and we had started dating. And at the time it seemed like he was this great person. Like we would do walks, and we were like always together. And when you're in high school and your friends are like, oh, y'all are so cute together, like we really wanted to spend all our time together.
Hmm.
um, my mom was like, she didn't like him, and I was like, I don't know why you don't like him. It was just crazy to me.
Hmm.
When I got pregnant with my son, she was not happy about it. A lot of people were not happy about it, but she supported me.
Hmm.
I guess she felt like, okay, like you're about to have this baby and stuff. And the only thing I was thinking about was, my boyfriend. Like I was like, I still want to spend all my time with him, not
Hmm.
really preparing for to be a mother. And then like he was talking about like he had proposed to me and my mom was too young, that's not gonna work. What are you talking about? And I was like, well, I'm gonna be with him. And at the time I didn't know, like my mom was like that he was punching holes in his mom's walls and stuff like that, like already showing signs of
Right.
abuse and stuff. But I was like, well, he's not doing nothing to me. Like, he loves me and we're going to be together forever. And, just not listening.
Hmm.
And so I moved out. Like, I had convinced my mom to emancipate me so that I can move,
Hmm.
and actually be with him. And we moved into our first place. We actually got married while I was still in school. And it was like, it went from like this happily fairy tale to all of a sudden, like he was the worst person in the world. Um, he started isolating me, and I didn't realize it. Like I wasn't spending time with my family. I wasn't really talking to them, and um, wanting me to do things. He started calling me names. Mine was more of an emotional level where I felt like I wasn't good enough for anybody. Where I, I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody. So it was a couple of times where he was showing signs that he was cheating on me. And it was like I didn't really know what to do. It was this one time or a few times where he made me have sex with people that I didn't want to have sex with. It was like, if you love me, you'll do this. And then he was mad because he was like, oh, we're gonna have an open relationship. And it's like, what do you mean? Like an open relationship, like we're married. Like, what are you talking about? He was like, we're gonna have an open relationship and you're gonna do that or whatever. So it was like, okay, he was like, if you love me, that's what you'll do. And I was just like, okay. So this guy met me, and he said he wanted to go out on a date. So I was still young, I was 17 and stuff, I think about to turn 18 or something like that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. We can go on a date or whatever. And he got mad, and he was like, he didn't tell me he was mad right away. Like, it just kind of was like, okay, you're going to go on a date. That's fine. Whatever. I go out on a date with this guy. He's blowing my phone up, calling my phone like all the time. Like, my phone was just going off. And then, like, by the time I got home, he was like standing outside of the apartment complex, and the guy like pulled up, and I was like, oh, like, that's my husband. Like, I don't know why he's out here right now, because I didn't see our son. Like, my son was an infant at that time. And I didn't get to step out the car. Like, he literally opened the door and yanked me out the car, like, threw me to the ground. And the guy, at the time, you're like, you're not thinking about other people, but I realized, like, this guy literally did a U-turn and just left. Like, he just literally left me there. And he took my phone, he threw my phone on the ground. And there's this brick thing where the sign was to the apartment complex, where he literally took and he banged my head up against the brick. The whole way we were walking through the apartment complex, no one like did anything. And we walked all the way to the back of the apartment complex where the apartment was. My son was there. So the only reason why I went back was because he was in the crib. He was literally asleep. And then he like pushed me down to the ground. Like, I twisted my ankle. Like, and that was the first time that he was literally physically abusive to me. After that, it was like, him punching holes in the wall, him shooting a BB gun towards my head. Like, he literally missed within inches. And I was still there because I was like, we're supposed to be together. This is my husband. I'm not supposed to get divorced. My son is here. We're supposed to be a family. It was so many things after that. He got with his ex. His ex showed up to our house one day after we moved. And I was on my way to work, and she was sitting in my living room. And it was like, I'm going to work. Like, you're supposed to be off today. Why is she here? So much disrespect. It was physical, mental. Like, he just talked to me any way that he wanted to. He isolated me from everybody, and I didn't realize what was going on. And I just, I was like, your mom tells you these types of things before you get into relationships. But because I was so young, like, I feel like she didn't have time to really talk to me about that stuff, you don't see the signs before it happens. So it took me a long time to really get over that, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't leave him. That's the thing. He actually told me he wanted to be with his ex-girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay, like, why am I still heartbroken? Done these things to me, My mom came. She didn't know what happened. It took me a long time to tell her. It took me a long time to tell my sisters and stuff. And I just kind of, I still had to deal with him because of my son. So I never took, I never took any rights away from him. I still, he has visitation, but over time I have healed. I've been able to, watch other people and their stories. And at first I felt like, oh, well, I wasn't, always physically abused. So I wasn't thinking, that I really had went through domestic violence, because I was like, that only happened once. But, over time and watching things and seeing things, I was like, okay, like, he really did. He brought my self-esteem down from, when I was a teenager, like, I knew I was everything, and then it was like, after that, it was like, everything went down. And it was just like, for a long time, I couldn't figure out why I was scared of people, why I would cry at the drop of a hat, certain things like that. But it hurts to talk about it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's only because I know that I should have had better, you know, and that's the part that I guess still brings me to tears, you know, but I feel like me talking about it definitely can help somebody else. And, you know, I feel like the more I talk about it, the more it helps heal. Even though I may be healed, you know, I know that I'm not fully healed from a lot of the things that happened to me. So,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. And I know it's not easy. And I know for all of us out there who've been through trauma, we know that even when we feel like we overcame and we're doing better, when we talk about those things, it brings back those memories. And that's
yeah,
like, it's just a natural part of life, like not the abuse part, but the part that tears up, when you're sharing about it. And I know, personally and professionally, that just the fact you're crying about it doesn't mean that you haven't overcome. You are still an overcomer. Now you're happily married, you're happily relationship, your kids are safe, you're safe. And I just want you to remember that you are stronger than all of this. You know. You're welcome. And you brought some good points there, as you said, like, and it was even hard for me to kind of, keep it together, because what hurts me the most, like hearing your story, is like, you were in a tough situation, but like you said, nobody in the complex, nobody step out and help. And that's like, for everyone listening here, I'm like, just a cry out to society in general. We see these things, we hear these things, it might be the neighbor, it might be the friend in school, it might be your cousins, might be the little girl in the Sunday school class. When you hear something, when you see something, please do something. And if you don't want to get in the middle of it, the least you can do is call 911. For anyone listening, you hear somebody crying in the middle of the road, even if you don't know what's happening, just call 911. Let the
exactly.
police come, sort it out, and
Uh-uh.
investigate and keep people safe. You know, and so that that just it breaks my heart that you went for that, but it makes my even more that nobody in the community step out to step out to help. And that we need to do better as a society. We need to do better, and reaching out to people in need. We need to do better when we hear somebody hurting, that we can at least call 911. I know some people are not always comfortable like stepping out, and there we go. So yeah, thank you again so much for sharing that story. And I'm just, just a prayer to everyone. You hear something, you see something, please call 911. If you don't want to get involved because your own safety, or it's too complicated, but each one of us can pick up the phone and call 911, and let the authorities come, investigate and make sure that take people to safety. It's sad when we hear things, if it's at school, it's in a workplace, maybe you work with the coworker who every day comes with bruises, or every time, she comes to work, she looks, every time somebody mentions her home life or her spouse, and, she's in tears, like, that could be a red flag. And just even just opening up the conversation, I think, as for all of us, as in society, like when we suspect something, just even to offer that, that listening ear, say, I'm here if you want to talk.
Yeah.
And that tells people that they're safe. They tell people that they can talk to you. And some of us just need someone to talk to, because sometimes, like you said, you didn't even know who to talk to about this, who will even believe you. And that honestly, both as a survivor and a counselor, that bothers me when people don't believe on other people's story. It's their story, and it's not our place to say, well, what happened, or how it should have happened, what they could have done or should have done. Our place is to support them where they are now and help them, to move forward to better life. So even sometime I say, when even if the person that they're referring to, like, well, that person couldn't do that, well, you don't live with that person. And you never know, right? You never know. And like in your story, you say, like, the beginning was nice, and looked all great, was right, it was a good life. You get together, you get along pretty well, and then once you're in somebody's home, it's a totally different story. And like you said, maybe there were some red flags, and you didn't always pick up on it, because yeah, love will make us blind, right? And I'm glad that your mom was starting to point some things to you. And you also mentioned that maybe she didn't have time to talk to you about it. And I think in a certain extent you are right, because you're already like so involved with the situation, involved with the man, and you're in love with him. And honestly, what 16, 17-year-old doesn't do that, right? Everybody in that age and that go through that. So it's in that moment, I think, like you said, it might be like, we can still cheat, but it works like we have more time to cheat when we're more one, we're proactive about it. So
Yeah.
like, like we say, prevention is the best medicine. So let's start talking to our girls, to our boys, to sons and daughters before they even start into relationships. My daughter is 12 and we already start talking about these things, and the other thing you point out, it was about how it started emotional, it started verbal. And sometimes we discount that. We don't see that as abuse. We don't realize that actually verbal abuse, emotional abuse leave deeper wounds than physical abuse. You can hit somebody on the surface, they can heal, the skin is healed, but the heart is still wounded.
It gets
You
to
know,
be so deep because you're sitting there and you're thinking everything's cool, and then they start talking about you wrong, start yelling and all this stuff, and that stuff can like scare you so bad because it's like you don't know what's gonna come next. But
right.
then by the time that you realize it, like your self-esteem is so low that you're willing to take anything from anybody. But like anybody can talk to you and take away because at this point you're like, I'm worthless. Like you're ready to just end everything. It really sucks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right. It sucks because, and that's part of the damage of emotional abuse. It leaves so much wounds that even as we move forward, it becomes so hard to start to trust again. So hard to to respect ourselves, even because everybody showed us that we were not worthy of respect, and we know that that's wrong. But when you're in that moment, when you're so emotionally wounded, you don't see that, right? And it takes people to start believing in you, start pulling you up and reminding you that you're worthy, reminding you that you're enough. But it takes a lot of work.
yeah,
Trauma takes a lot of work, and healing is possible, help is out there. But if we do the prevention piece, then our daughters and sons won't have to go for all this, and it's kind of prevent them, showing them what the red flags look like, so that they like, oh yeah, when somebody start yelling, even if it's just a friend at school. My daughter's
yeah,
in middle school, and then sometimes she say, well, yeah, we're talking about something, and she got all upset and all in my face. I'm like, oh, that's not healthy, right? And
yeah,
then we talk about it in that moment, like, what does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when a friend comes right in your face? I say, maybe next time you have to tell her that I don't appreciate that. And I
right.
kind of coach her through that, and also model, and then I let her practice with me. So then when she's around friends, that she know how to stand up for herself. She know,
Right.
and sometimes, like you said, people don't always know. Like the friend who's, being verbally abusive, or, or the boyfriend or the girlfriend who is, sometimes they've been raised in that environment, so they don't know any better. But if we, and it takes somebody standing up to them and telling them, oh, this is not a healthy way to do it. There is another way. And then
Right.
you open the eyes to something better and what healthy relationship looks like. And it benefits both of you, you know? Yes.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
thank you so much for sharing that. So from your story, that is, like you say, it's deep, it's a lot. Then from that, what helped you overcome? What helped you decide, okay, this is the end of it. I need to move on. I need, better life for myself. And then, like, to kind of turn the things around. Like, what was it for you that helped you?
It took me a long time, to be quite honest with you. I didn't just, go back home to my mom and, I was okay after that. Like I talked to her, I thought about it. But then I guess for me, I was acting out, like not like I was cursing everybody out and stuff like that, but I actually, um, I guess, I guess like with my body, I started just messing with random people, I didn't really care. I wasn't like going to be in a relationship, and then I guess what I did was I just, started talking to other people, and just trying to find a way to cope. But this didn't happen until like after I had my daughter. So I had her like 5 years after my son,
Okay.
um, and I was like, I need to make a better life for them. I need to do better with myself, and that happened after I had her. Because a lot of things that people don't know about me is I actually contracted a disease that I cannot get rid of. Um, and it happened at the same time that I had my daughter. So, like, I found out I was pregnant with her, found out I had that, and then I was like, wow, like, a lot of the things that I didn't realize that I was still dealing with, like still trying to, just act like it didn't matter, like it didn't happen.
Mm.
I was like, it's contributing from that. And once I started realizing that, I was like, okay, like there's got to be a better way to deal with it. So I started like reading things, and I wasn't talking to like strangers about it yet, but
Mhm.
just reading other stories and watching things and trying to figure out how can I make my life better. And I never really did talk to anybody like, okay, like this is something that I have to like deep down, I have to like pray about it, because that was the only way that I was going to be able to get through anything.
Mm.
Um, and I really had to like pray to myself about being able to get over the things that happened. Because I was like, I was ruining every relationship. Started to bring myself back up. I started to tell myself that I am beautiful. I am worth it. My kids are worth it, and that, I would never feel that type of pain again,
Mm.
but that I wouldn't block myself to where I was not going to be able to love again, because that was
Mm.
one of the main things that brought me down. Like I was like, oh yeah, at first it was like, I'm not going to love anybody else. I'm going to put up this wall, but that was hurting me even more, you know,
Mm.
and not being able to love is so hard. So I was like, I slowly had to, like chip that away and just know that, I had to keep telling myself that I'm beautiful. Me and my mom, we hung out more, and me and my sisters and everything. And,
Mhm.
just bringing myself back to where I knew I had to be, especially for my kids.
Yes. Oh, that is, yeah. I'm glad that you said prayer help, self-talk help, other people's stories help. Did you ever seek counseling in the in the process of that?
No, and I do feel like, though, sometimes I feel like that's still a step that I need to take,
Okay.
because I feel like even though I can share my story with other people and stuff, it's still somebody out there who can, let me know more, as far
Mm-hmm.
as how else I can, you know, talk about it and all of
Right.
that. My mom says it to me sometimes. She says to me, do you ever feel like you still need to go and talk to somebody? Because there are times where I'm like, sometimes I'll just think about what I've been through and I'll just start crying. And it's like, even though I found a good husband, there are times when we'll argue and it'll be
Mm-hmm.
over something stupid. We'll argue, and I'll just, I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I know that he would never hurt me or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it's like, at the same time, why do I make myself so scared to that point?
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, maybe you should still talk to somebody. And I'm like, you're probably right, because it's not him, it's me. And I know that that's still like somewhere within me, but it's like, there's still little things that, you still never get over, and it still bothers you a lot. So my
Yeah.
thing, like, I guess the anger,
Mm-hmm.
it still frightens me sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's my husband. It's just what I've been through. So
Mm-hmm.
I
And
definitely know, I definitely need to talk to somebody about things like that.
yeah, and like you say, like you realize it's all that pain, all that hurt does impact us in long term, and if we don't, deal with it,
Yeah.
properly and take the time to do the work to kind of unravel all of that. So yeah, this is a lot, and I will, I can reach out to you, and I would, hopefully stay in touch, and
Yeah.
for this journey. But if someone wants to connect with you, just to hear more about, to if you some I guess the two things, if what will you say to someone's going through what you're going through, and then two, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, no problem. So if people have gone through what I've gone through, I feel like the first thing definitely is to find a way to get out of the situation. It may not always be, because a lot of people have a misconception that I'm not going to be in that situation. And if that situation happens to me, they feel like they're going to fight them back, or, like the most extreme thing. And it's not always that simple, because your feelings are invested in that other person. Um, and it's not always like I'm gonna fight fire with fire. You know, you don't always get that person back that way. So
Mm-hmm.
no matter what it is, no matter if you have to leave all of a sudden, or if you find a way to get out of the situation, get someone to help you, you know, get your things, or, you know, whatever the situation is, it's always better to pick the time. And for me, it was when he said that he wanted to leave me. And I was like, okay, you know, fine. That was when I picked up the phone and I called my mom. And
Okay.
I was like, you need to come and get me. You know, she doesn't drive, so she was able to get my my uncle to come in, come with her. Like, she came with him and he came, they picked me up, and I got most of my stuff, me and my son's stuff, and I left. And I didn't get my other things until I had someone with me to get my stuff. But it's important to find a way to leave, no matter what the situation or the circumstance is.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter how long it takes, but you know, I know that some situations it is life or death, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
if you can get out of that situation, definitely do that, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
you have to do it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and that's most important. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people can say all day and night, you know, that's never going to happen to me. You know, I'm not going to let them put their hands on me. They're not going to talk to me any type of way. You know, you say that type of thing before you get into a situation like that, and then you don't know what, you know.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's. Thank you for sharing that. That. Yeah. If you're in a really rough situation, oh, honestly, please call for help and
that's,
get out and keep yourself safe. And hopefully, people will turn around. But it's not our job to change people. Yeah. Yeah. Then how can people connect with you?
I'm on Facebook as Felicia Carey Carter. That's my
Okay.
full name.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram as Felicia Carter INC. I have a business page as well as just a personal page called Queen
Okay.
Boss FC.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
but
So maybe
yeah,
you can send me those links then. If you
definitely.
send me the links at least to your business too, and then I can post it with the description then.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. I also have a YouTube page. It's the
Cool.
same, but
Hmm.
I actually am not doing a business right now. Like, I've
Okay.
seen businesses
Hmm.
because I was in a business, but I felt like morally I couldn't do it. So
That's okay. Self care is important. Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
but I will be doing new things. So,
So yeah, we can connect and then you can give me like, what you want me to share. That's totally fine.
yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I
Yeah.
was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, do I still want to do it? But no, I'm glad that I did, because
Awesome. I'm glad you did it too. Your story can help someone
I
else.
do want to tell you too. I do have a domestic violence group on Facebook that I
That's
started. I
good.
have people in there, but it's called Stand Up Against Domestic Violence, and we not only talk about just domestic violence, but also sexual abuse, any type of violence that happens to
Yes.
anybody, men
Yeah.
or women, because a lot of things too, men go through domestic violence as well,
Hmm.
and they
Hmm.
don't talk about it as females do, you know,
Right.
because
Right.
that somebody else is gonna, you know, talk bad about them, or be like, well, how did you get abused, you know, or whatever.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
happens to everybody, and
Yeah.
we can't say just because they're a man it's not going to happen to them. So
Exactly.
about
Yeah.
that in that group. So
Good. So yeah, share me the link to that group. That's something we definitely want to share for anybody going through domestic, any kind of abuse, and and so that
yeah,
they know that there's help out there, there's support, they're not alone.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and have a blessed day.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.